All right, we're recording.
All right, I'd like to call to order the Warrenton Board of Alderman meeting for Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. And if everyone would please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, item number 3 will be removed from the agenda tonight. And introduction of new employees.
Good evening, Board. I would like to introduce this evening our new utility billing clerk, Carla Brown. So she's been with us a few weeks now, and she's doing a terrific job.
Good.
Welcome, Carla.
Welcome, Carla.
Welcome.
Also with the grounds and maintenance department, we have Doug Stonebarger with us tonight.
Doug?
Great help. I'm happy to have him. So.
Welcome, Doug.
And the police department would like to introduce Officer Colin Dunning. Welcome.
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 Be safe out there.
That it for us tonight? Consent agenda.
We have the regular meeting minutes from March 21st, 2023, and the Ways and Means meeting minutes from March 21st, 2023.
I'll entertain a motion for accepting the regular meeting minutes from March 21st of 2023 and the Ways and Means meeting minutes from March 21st of 2023.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Schultz, second by Alderman Quarter. Roll call vote.
Alderman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Schultz,
Yes.
Alderman Crump,
Yes.
Alderman Quarter,
Yes.
Alderman Cullum,
Yes.
Alderman Jespring.
Yes.
Passes 6-0. Public comments. If anyone would like to come up and have any comments for us, you may step up to the podium. We'll give you 5 minutes. No one? All right. Board of Alderman comments.
Hope everyone took an opportunity to go out and vote today. Great opportunity to help our community out for leaders and other items that were on the agenda or on the ballots today. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Nope. Nope. All right. And we will move to the Warren County Time Zone Designation proposal by Steve Etcher.
Evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
I appreciate the opportunity to come to you tonight and talk to you about an opportunity that the Economic Development Council is pursuing. For those that don't know me, I'm Steve Etcher, Economic Development Consultant for the Greater Warren County Economic Development Council. What I want to talk to you tonight about is a new initiative called the Time Zone. It is a targeted industrial manufacturing tax credit, essentially. It is a program that was enacted by the state legislature back in 2022, signed into law by the governor back in August, and the state has finally gotten around to the process of putting out the rulemaking and the process for creating a time zone. In essence, what the time zone is, it is an act that allows you to create a geography that within that geography you can, for qualified projects, retain 25% of the state payroll withholding tax to reinvest into infrastructure and activities to support your economic development efforts. This is an issue that's been really a plaguing issue for a lot of the state, a lot of the rural communities. You got an economic development project and you need water, you need roads, you need streets, or sewer, or electric, or gas, and there's just not enough local resources to fund that level of infrastructure activity. So what the Time Zone Act really does is it creates an avenue for you to basically receive funds from the state's Department of Revenue from that withholding taxes for those qualified jobs to reinvest that into that infrastructure. To create a time zone, it has to be a multi-jurisdictional application. At least 2 political subdivisions must join forces to create this act, and you can make this application to the state. They can approve that zone. And then as you have qualified projects, we then make an application to say, we've got a project that's creating 60 jobs, it's going to create X amount of payroll. We anticipate that 25% of the state payroll withholding taxes are going to be Y over a period of times. And we make an application to receive those funds. The way the act is currently established, it's a first come, first served basis. There's currently no time zones designated yet in the state of Missouri. And they have a cap of $5 million per year statewide. That's not a very deep pocket, but it's a pocket. And if we get a couple of quality projects coming in, creating some quality jobs, let's go for it. I think it's a really good opportunity. So what we're proposing is to create a time zone in Warren County that stretches and follows the I-70 corridor. It would include the communities of Jonesburg, Warrenton, Truesdale, Wright City, and unincorporated Warren County. And I had Brandy pass out a map of what we had identified as the target areas. We have to follow natural geography to have this designation made. There's the map right there. Thank you. And this is what we're proposing as our initial draft. Once the time zone is designated, it would have to have a governing board of 7 members. And what we are suggesting is if it all comes together like we are proposing, that each of the participating jurisdictions would appoint a board member to the time zone board. And the county would appoint a member from the north and the south commission districts, and that would give you 6. The 7th, we would have the chair of the EDC serve in that capacity. And this is just our draft proposal to you. But we think that approach allows us to work together collectively. We can marshal our resources when you got a big project coming in, or we can continue to do small projects as they make themselves available. But what we are proposing in the application is that we would identify the monies to be used for 3 key issues. Roadway improvements, which we say over the next 10 years, we could use $50 million worth of funds for roadway improvements. That could be everything from new overpasses to widening systems to building local streets. $20 million in water system improvements and $60 million in wastewater system improvements. That's what we're targeting as our financial need, that we would apply then qualified projects toward that. Tonight I'm just presenting the idea to you. If this is an initiative that you want to be part of, what we would have to have is the city would have to have a public hearing stating their intent to participate in the time zone, and then draft a resolution to be part of and endorse that time zone application designation request. I probably said a lot there in 3 minutes, so I will pause and see if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them to any degree that I can.
Is there a time frame for this to come together?
Yeah, the original language says time zones can be created between the date of the law being enacted until August of 2025. It's a longer window than we anticipated, but there is an expiration to it. And that's for the designation. You can apply for the funds as long as the state continues to appropriate it.
And in the way that I think this works, Steve, is it not that those that are in a time zone are the only ones that will be able to apply for those funds?
Correct. The utilization of those captured funds would be applied to that targeted area. And that's why we stretch we're pretty wide along I-70 because that's where our needs are.
Well, but I guess what I'm asking is if there's other communities that have, down 44, there's 3 cities there, and if another part of the state didn't apply or become a time zone, they couldn't apply for those dollars. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very geographically specific. And let's say there's a project in Marthasville, and they need something. Well, we didn't include Marthasville but Marthasville could create their own time zone with Warren County in the southern part of the county and do something very similar. But Marthasville couldn't say, we want to use the funds that's generated in the I-70 time zone for a project on South 47.
And the taxes that are already going to be taken from the employees,
right.
It's just moving it from this one state bucket into another bucket that we can apply for those funds.
Correct. It goes from the Department of Revenue into a time zone fund. That time zone fund then disperses down to the local project.
Okay.
Yep.
Steve, with this $5 million you had mentioned, so next year will they contribute more into this? Or is this the $5 million for a span of how many years?
It's $5 million is the annual cap, and there's no sunset on the program. There's only a sunset on the application period. So it could go for, hypothetically, 50 years. What I would anticipate as I see these types of programs evolve over my career is they will run it, see what kind of response there is, see what the demand is, and then they could go in there and amend that legislation, maybe increase the cap, maybe extend the application deadline. Once they understand, is there a flow for this? Is there really a need for this program? And I believe there is. They're doing a very similar project or program like this in certain areas of the state. In those 9 designated port authorities in the state of Missouri, they can create an AIM zone within a port authority and capture 50% of that payroll tax to reinvest in the infrastructure. And this is modeled just after it. Just doesn't have that port authority requirement. So I think based on what we've seen in the port authorities, it's a very popular program, and this one's likely going to be highly popular.
So with these funds, could we, let's just say hypothetically that the water treatment bond doesn't pass, could we use those funds to pay for that?
Absolutely. You can make the application. You want to scale it down and say, we want to cap, you'd have to have a qualifier. So, a perfect qualifier could be, Refresco, which funds, send sewage dirt away. They just announced they're going to create 60 jobs. Well, those would be 60 jobs that we could capture. If we get the designation before they start hiring them, then you can say that's 60 jobs, that's going to create X thousands of dollars per year. We're going to make an application, say we want to secure that for the next 10 years and use that towards debt service, towards lease payments, towards cost of construction.
And this isn't retroactive, correct, Steve? It's all new business.
It's all new businesses, all new qualified jobs. Not every job. These are all manufacturing jobs, essentially, that we would have to identify and then capture. And it does compete with some other state programs, probably more details than you want, but if a new company came in and was using Missouri Works allows the employer to retain 100% of that state withholding tax for 5 years. Well, we can't take 25% if they're already taking 100. So what we would do is say we want that 25% in years 6 through 10, even though they created the jobs, or we'd have to get the company to agree to take 75% of the Missouri work so we could get 25% of the time zone. We just have to negotiate that as we do the total package for them. But, yeah, good questions. Yeah.
So the board that gets created, would they be the ones that decide when someone applies for this, where that funding goes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that board would identify the projects and make the application to the state. Yep. And the Economic Development Council would work with the board to identify those opportunities in advance so we could get all the information and we would make that application on their behalf.
So, one last question. So let's say we get this passed, whatever, next year, January 1st, are we entitled to that full $5 million, or we have to be paying in so much to get X amount back?
No, you'd have to just model it out.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're not entitled. I mean, it's an entitlement, but you have to apply. It's a first come, first served base. And $5 million statewide, 114 counties, that doesn't go far if you try to spread it out geographically. I would rather be the pioneer in this effort, be the first time zone, be one of the first projects, and get our hand in there before anybody else realizes there's an opportunity here.
So this board that's going to be created with Wright City, Warrenton, Truesdale, Pendleton, all them, we're not going to run into an issue where each one of those people are going to want to use the money in their own municipalities?
Oh, absolutely.
So then we just create a mess, maybe?
You could always create a mess. I'm a regional guy. I believe that as we work together, we grow together. I think economic development, anything that's changing our economy is going to be felt regionally. Workforce is going to be felt regionally. So the challenge of this board is to identify what's important. And what I really envision happening here is as a opportunity comes up, let's say a big business is coming into Warrenton and it could produce, a $2 million potential request for wastewater improvement upgrades. We take that project to the Times and board and said, this company is creating jobs in Warrenton. There's an infrastructure need in Warrenton. Let's connect the dots. I would be disappointed if anybody objected to that.
Right.
I think where there would be an issue potentially is if you got that big project coming to Warrenton, but you don't have a need. I welcome the day you have no financial needs. You know,
Right.
it's never going to happen. There's always something we can do to enhance or improve our infrastructure. So I would look at these individual projects to be jurisdictionally specific, to be honest.
Right.
We would use it to support whatever that investment was going to be. But a good question. Yeah, there could be infighting. There's a risk.
Well, everybody's going to want something improved in their infrastructure.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but they have to have something new coming to their
Correct.
area in order to...
It's an opportunity-driven project.
Correct.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks.
Any other questions? So what do we need from us then,
So,
from this?
yeah, the next step would be if you guys are in agreement, you can just concur or whatever, then I would say direct Brandy to schedule a public hearing at your next meeting or at a future meeting, and then we'd have a resolution drafted to say you're going to participate in the Warren County I-70 time zone. That's about as simple as the process can be.
Last question, Steve. What if, let's say, 6 out of the 7 want to do it and 1 didn't? Is that going to hurt anything, or we just
No.
have 1 less person?
We'll just redraw the map.
Okay.
Yep. And we'll have to restructure the board, the governance structure, but yeah. I would hope, I mean, we've talked to the communities, in fact, this week, next week, I'm hitting all of them. Right now, everybody's like, this is a great idea, why aren't we doing it? So I don't see, but if somebody did pull out, we'd restructure the map and we'd look at our governance, how do we do that?
Okay.
Equitably.
I think it's imperative that we hook onto this early on.
Yeah.
I don't see why anybody wouldn't do it. I mean, what's the negative?
Do you need a
of it?
vote from us
You know what I
tonight
mean?
The issue you identified,
to do a resolution to set all this up?
can we agree to agree?
Right.
Yeah.
Just need to let me know if that's the direction you want to go, then we'll schedule the public hearing.
So is anyone against this?
Nope.
No one's against it, so let's move forward with this.
If you have any questions of me, please reach out and let me know.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you so much for the information.
Appreciate your time.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, next. Utility rate study presentation, Jeff Huck from Gonzalez Companies. Hello.
Good evening. Thank you all for having me. As you know, obviously over the last several years, we've done a lot of work with staff, a lot of construction projects, a lot of big dollars have been spent on, especially the sewer. We were asked by Brandy and Dana and John and Guy to look into the water and sewer rates as we go ahead, because we have more capital improvements. As you guys know, we have a voter bond issue on the ballot today. So, currently, this is, oh yeah, I got a point over here, but I got a point over here to change a thing, so. Currently, as you know, so it's water rate 823 for the first 1,000 gallons plus 531 after every 1,000 after that. Sewer, 1347 for the first 1,000 plus the 465 for every 1,000 after that. When we look at rates, if you're looking at a governmental agency that does funding vehicles, SRF being one, they always look at an average user. An average user is they look at 5,000 gallons per month. So that's how they come up. That's how they come up with some information I'm going to share here in a second. Using the 5,000, I got 2947 for water and 3207 for sewer. That's the average rate for a residential customer in the city limits of Warren. So the reason I want to talk about the 5,000 per month user is because state agencies use a 2% rule for the affordability index. So basically what that says is we're going to take your median household income, multiply it by 2%, and we feel that is a fair number for all utilities. That can be water, sewer. That's not total, that is each. So water and sewer, you both can have, and just so you know, Warrenton's, in 2016, Warrenton's MHI was 47,800. It's a little higher now. But that affordability index for a month is $80. So well under what the state would deem affordable. Also I wanted to show, so let's go to the next chart. This is currently where you guys sit with a bunch of other towns in the area, or I also included some St. Louis, Missouri American stuff. I went and tried to get a broad range. As you see, the 29 and 47 is pretty good. You're definitely at the lower end. So this up here is your affordability. That is what the SRF state funding agencies say is what they base their rates. What that means is they will not give a town grant monies unless your rates are above the affordability index. You really have to be getting close to that. So what that is, you know, a small town out in the middle of rural Missouri where their rates are $100 a month because they're, you know, it's half a mile to your neighbor. You don't have that, you don't have the population density around like we have around here that helps keep that rate down. So that's how they basically say, what they try to say is you have to be helping yourself. So they want their rates, rates to be elevated. You're talking about SRF. The solid blue line is the US average, and the red dash is just the state average. As you can see, water is definitely under both of those quite a bit. Sewer, actually, Missouri and the United States are almost identical up here in the $75 range for sewer. And then the affordable being 80. The sewer is 32, what did I say, 3207. So it's well under the affordability. Now, real quick, why we're talking about this is we've got a bond issue today that's $13 million. And what that bond issue is including is probably some more water storage somewhere south of town, as well as we phased the report last year for the treatment plant, and we think we've come up with 3 phases, and the first 2 phases we think we're going to do up front, and that holds us off. It gets us more capacity, probably buys about 10 to 15 years before phase 3 would have to happen, which would increase capacity, basically doubling capacity. You know, all that, when I say timelines and stuff, obviously things could change. You know, we could have an 08 situation where everybody just stops buying, stop building. Don't know. But based on the way things are going right now, things are happening, and it's about time for us to start thinking about new clarifiers and some sludge holding equipment to help staff out there at the treatment plant. So when we did that, we looked at proposing rates. We looked at the cost of the new tank and well separately from the sewer. So in doing that, we came up with some rates, and I got 3 different levels of rates for sewer here. One being the voter approved bonds, the other one being the leasehold, and the other one being SRF funding. For the water, no matter what we go with, I'm just saying let's do a 4% increase annually for the water system. On the sewer, it's a little different. If the voters approve the bonds today, we're probably looking at about a 7% increase to get up to where we need to be to pay for that bond, that new bond. If we do leasehold, it's more like an 8% increase. And then if we do SRF funding, it's double that. And we also still have to get some voter approval on a lot of documents and stuff. It's not the best option. So what I wanted to show also though is after we look at new rates, the water goes up by about 60 cents. Still being, in a pretty good look, as far as the rest of the world here, still sitting not too bad. Sewer, I went ahead and just showed what all three proposed options would look like. Even if we did SRF, you're still, so St. Louis County, Missouri American Water, you're still cheaper than Missouri American Water. All these are, a lot of these here, for some reason, you'd think they'd be cheaper to get into the county, but St. Charles, Arnold, Eureka start getting a lot more expensive. So this is about just what I came up with for proposed rates. There may be some pennies here and there, but this is pretty much where we think we need to be. Obviously we're all crossing our fingers that we're not worried about the last two things, because if we can get that bond approved, it's going to save the city some money. So I'm sure there's questions.
I'll start. Jeff, this proposed increases, is this every year you want us to go up 7%, or is that just one time?
No, so those increases are one time. Anybody who deals with utilities is going to tell you they would recommend some kind of percent increase annually. Probably at least cost of living. Because what happens, and I've seen it happen with towns where they advertise our rates are so low, and then I had a town where their sewer rate was 12 something a month for the average user, and we did an SRF funding, and for SRF to help them, they had to triple their rates. And that was because they did all this time, we're never going to raise our rates. Everybody else is raising rates, cell phones, electric, everybody's raising rates. Cost of living is going up. It really makes sense to just put it in your code that your rate raises every year by a certain rate, at a certain date. That's what most people would recommend.
I don't think everybody would like to have rates raised every year just cause.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they will complain.
I mean, we are the consumers here, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like rates going up, taxes going up at all.
No, I don't. I don't disagree with that. But your streaming services are going to be going up without telling you. Your electricity goes up. We don't really find much out until we don't have much to say about that. I try to compare it to stuff like cell phone. It's nothing for somebody to spend $100 on a cell phone bill. So is $30 for water that big a deal?
Several years ago, we decided that we were going to do a rate every year, small rate, was much more palatable than doing a huge rate every 3 or 4 years. And it's worked so far. Nobody likes to pay, but if you're a growing community, you got a plan for these things, and you've got to be able to, I think, go year to year and
I would recommend it. I'm sure if you ask other people that are in the same situation,
it's worked.
Aren't we currently at 4%? Isn't that what we did last year? And I thought we said we were going to do that every year, right?
Right.
From here on out till we change our mind, I guess. Right?
I do think
We have to pay that bond back.
you also get
Right.
you do get people that don't even realize that their rate, their bill. My bill with 2 kids is, I don't live in Washington. I live in Washington, not Warrenton, but my bill might be $60 one month, and then when she's at Mizzou, it's peanuts. It's nothing. It's so I don't even notice if they bump my rate 4%. I wouldn't even notice. I tell you the truth. But then again, I know there's people out there that will. I know where you're coming from there.
I guess that's my other question, like Jeff mentioned, if we talked about before raising it 4%, and he's saying that this is a one-time raise of 7%, well, if we raise it 4% next year and 4% next year, we're already over that 7.
Right.
So why do we need to jump 7% right now? Does that make sense?
Right? If it was a one-time deal at
7% on top of what today's rate is what. I mean, I guess you could do that. You're gonna be behind a little bit.
I guess the other question is, like, you're on your charts, Winsville pays less than we do. Obviously, they have a lot more population, so that helps offset the cost to spread it across the board to everybody. At what point, do you have any kind of numbers that say, okay, if we get X population that comes to Warrenton, like let's say the 200 apartment complex out there on North 47 or something, how many more people do we need to offset some of this to where every year, maybe the citizens get at least 1 year of a break or something?
It is hard to put a number on that because, first off, you have one user in town that uses about 50% of the water that well, actually, more than that.
Yeah.
They produce 50% of the sewer that gets treated. So if you get another, it's hard to say. If you got another user like that, it may mean, you had another one of those, it may mean that residential rates may not have to budge for a year or two. That's why it's hard for me to really answer you.
No, I get what you're saying. I guess I'm trying to help explain it better for the public too, to understand why we have to raise these sometimes. Because those are the questions we get. Why does my rate go up every year 4%? What the heck? It's gone up for the last 20 years 4%. And I get what you're saying. Inflation, things cost more. Certain people have to buy water heads and those are expensive. So I get it. I mean, I guess.
Gotta be a cap at some point. I mean, we just can't go, before you know it, we're gonna be 20 years. You're gonna have a $200 water bill here.
Jeff, can you explain how you came up with these numbers, how long this was projected out and the rate of growth?
So yeah, this is projected.
Kind of explain what study you did and how you did that.
The software tool we use is called RateMaker. It's actually made by Missouri Department of Natural Resources, and it's actually used across the country. So it's a really good software, but it basically looks at a 5-year window. And so what we could do is look at that 5-year window every year, and you know what I'm saying, it actually is also can be used by financial people at cities to kind of get a better idea of what, and Dana's got the stuff that we put together, and she can use that in the future for a tool to kind of help maybe, maybe your sales tax, you get a little more sales tax than you thought coming in or something like that, and you might be able to play around with some numbers. I don't know.
So Jeff, are you saying, like, if we keep this 4% as they were talking about, and we apply that strictly to the water, and if this bond issue passes today, then we should also add then a 7% onto the sewer?
Not on top of the 4.
Not on top of the 4?
Not on top of the 4 this year. It'd be 7% this year and then back to 4%.
Got you. So that 7% will cover the water and the sewer for the 1 year, then we can go back down to the 4 the following year. Is that correct?
No, the water could be, the 4%, the 4% increase covers the water expenses.
Okay.
We split it up though because the sewer expenses are quite a bit more than the water capital expenses we're talking about. So the sewer bill would have to go up about 6.8%.
Yes.
Next year, and then the year after would just be back down to the normal 4%.
So we're at 11% in 2 years.
Correct.
This is the average.
But you either do the increases like this or you do no increases, and then like Jeff was saying, in 5 years then you're looking at a 25 or a 30% increase. And then 5 years.
But we don't know that. We don't know what that is in 5 years, right?
No, you don't, but it's an estimate.
Right.
I can tell you
Well,
that
couldn't you split that up into 5 years then? If we know what that number is, just split that
And
percentage
that's
up
what
in
he's
that
doing
5
here
years.
though.
That's kind of what it is.
That's
Well,
what
that's
he's doing right
4%
here.
and 4% in 5 years. That's 20%.
Right.
really, if you got 7% and then 4 years of 4%, you throw a couple percent, a percentage point at each. You can maybe make it down to 5%. Yeah, I guess. But I lost my train of thought here. One of you guys had a question, and I had an answer, and I can't remember what the hell we were talking about, so. I would recommend considering keeping a gradual rate increase. I really would. You know, the rate increases that we have shown here are based on certain numbers. You know, they may fluctuate here, a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I would say that's kind of where they need to be.
Odd how Union and Washington are so much lower than the rest of the neighboring cities. I guess they're
Well,
densely
Franklin
populated.
County has a history of having really good water quality. Like, Washington just started chlorinating 10 years ago. Union still has areas they don't. So they're just drill a hole. I mean, I know we do the same thing here. They're drilling a hole in the well, in the ground, and some of them are not even treating it. It's just straight to the system. It's pretty cheap. Whereas once you start adding chlorine and some of the other things the guy has to do, it can be more expensive.
So they got good water and we don't?
Well, the river does create a barrier there for sure. You get north of the river and north of here, man, some of the water quality north of here is
Bad.
bad. Radionuclides and all kinds of bad stuff.
Jeff, can you explain a little bit more about the 5-year thing, about how you put these percentages in and we looked at the bottom line? You know, if we go less than 6%, you know, we're going to be short on a year. And then if we just did 4% this year, we might be short on funds for the first year of paying these bonds back, and we'll eventually catch back up. But we may be behind on the bottom line for a couple years if we don't do the large initial
when
increase.
it looks at that 5-year picture, you may show being in the red the first year or two, or maybe even 3, but you want the final number to show that you're getting out of that and getting into the black.
And that does account for some rate of growth as well. I think,
Yeah.
you know, so that when Alderman Cullum, you said something about the growth, if we had 750 new customers next year, will that help pay this back? Absolutely it would. But we put in a grade of growth into this, to factor into this rate increase as well. The more the people, yes, there's more bills to be paid, but there's also more production that needs to be happens too. So there is more cost that goes out.
I mean, there is something you could, if you started growing much quicker, which, I mean, I know you guys have grown pretty quick lately, but like he said, like a 750, there could be a possibility there to where you could start maybe keeping the rates a little lower, but honestly, I don't think I wouldn't recommend it. I'd recommend just doing the 4% and keeping it that way.
We revisit the rates every year, so, I mean, if we
I mean, we could always
raise the rate this year and we do get 750 new connections next year, I mean, that would be a lot of connections. Or we get one industrial or one commercial that completely changes the way we do things. You know, we still look at the rates every year, so there's still an opportunity to not give a rate increase sometime. You know, this is just a projection, a 5-year projection, and who knows what it's going to be in 5 years, but that's the best guess we have, so.
So am I correct? I was kind of doing a little bit of quick numbers here. Somewhere around $45 a year increase with water and sewer. Does that sound, for the average, I think I'm looking at the average customer.
All right, yeah.
About $45.
Yeah.
Somewhere around.
And my $70 bill is gonna go into $120 something dollars?
No, a year.
Oh, okay.
Per year.
Whoa.
Total of $42. So it's like somewhere around $2.30, $2.40 on sewer and $1.25 on water. To continue to build on the future of the community as far as having the funds to continue to build our infrastructure as it needs to be. This is kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah. Water and sewer are pretty basic infrastructure.
And I'm like Jeff, I don't like paying any more for anything. I like a discount where I can get it. But then you gotta be realistic in some cases, and this community seems to be growing relatively quick. So, we're looking at 200 new homes and somewhere around 500 new apartments over the next 5 years. Maybe each year, I think, at first I didn't like the idea that Alderman Gary Miller had about doing it each year. I kind of thought it'd be kind of nice just to put up have a code set to X amount of dollars. But I think the more we sit here and talk about it, I think I like the idea of us taking a look at it, because it may not need to be 4% each year. That's
Things could slow down, who knows, things could slow down.
right. It's just a guesstimate. 5 years, who knows?
Here's a proposal. Let's just say the city's 3% marijuana tax comes in. Couldn't we use that 3% of that and put it towards this, and then we don't have to raise anybody's rates?
I'm not an attorney, but that, I'm sure, would be,
Plus the sales tax we're getting
I would
from it,
assume
plus the
that-
sales
well-
tax, plus the city sales tax. So couldn't we? I mean, right now that money's just going into a general slush
well, I
fund.
don't know if the only thing I would say to that
Couldn't
is, I don't
fund
know
that?
if there's stipulations on where you can put that money.
Yeah, it would
Right.
fund
It's in the
account.
Does it have to go to
fund.
parks, does it have to go to,
That just goes in the general fund.
okay.
Well, and that's who knows for sure what those numbers will be each year.
Well, it's got to be through the roof. So, but
Well-
couldn't we do that? Couldn't we offset the cost there? No? Yes?
I couldn't
I don't
answer
know.
that question.
I still think we need to stay with the yearly increase and the 7% for the sewer. We're a growing community, and I've not had anybody tell me that they're gonna move out of Warrenton because they have cheaper water rates somewhere else. And, we know none of us like to pay more. I understand that. But you're gonna grow, you gotta plan for it, and you gotta have the funds to do it. If you ever get behind the 8 ball, you're terrible to catch up.
Yeah.
Well, once phase 3 is completed, theoretically, if we double our capacity, we should just have basic maintenance and repairs every year after that, right?
So you grow again.
Yeah,
dude.
until you need to expand that,
Every
yes.
year.
That's what I'm getting, that's what I'm getting at.
Chemicals, all
There's
that
no-
stuff, it
yeah.
increases.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah,
getting around
DNR,
it.
yeah.
And everything's gonna be more.
you your treatment plant's done.
No. Just like the highways and streets and everything else, it's a
Always getting
it's a
you.
maintenance someplace,
It was a pothole.
or the pothole. So, okay.
But it's making money. So,
I just made a proposal there. I mean, literally, we got money that's going to be coming in, maybe. Or we still do have money coming in from
We
the
need that money
marijuana
for our
sales
general
tax.
fund, though.
Huh?
We need that money in our general fund, though.
Why do we
which
need it in
was
our
why
general
we
fund?
were-
Because we
that's
never
why
had it
we put up
before.
there.
It's just putting extra money in the general fund now. If we do
That we
if the
need.
3% increase for the city goes to it, then that's just 3%. That's extra. That wasn't even figured into the money that we're being spent. So if let's just say it does pass,
much extra is
you take that 3%
You don't know.
and you put it towards this.
Yeah.
Instead of just to whatever.
Currently, our general fund needs that 3% because once those ARPA funds are gone, we do not have the money to do any capital projects.
So if this,
So we
so
need-
you're telling me the 3% doesn't pass, then our general fund's just gonna be,
No, it's just going to be the same as it is until we get more sales tax.
we'll just keep raising taxes on everybody, I guess. Let's not come up with a better idea. Let's just keep raising them rates.
So what do we need?
But I mean, you got to look at it
well,
like
taxes
this.
are like 12% in some places, aren't they now?
Right.
Go to the store.
I mean, would you rather take a small hit each month, or would you like to take a large hit every 5 years?
Yeah.
I was around when Warrenton used to do the no raise every year thing, and that year when they decided to raise it, it was like 25, 30% hike, and people lost their minds.
Why is my water bill $20
Right,
higher a month?
yeah, it went from $12 a month to $25 a month, and it was crazyville. So I would much rather see the $1 or $2, $3 a month hit instead of a $20 hit, $30 hit a month.
What do we need to do to move forward?
All that we need tonight, we don't need a vote because you'll vote on that later at a different time. The only thing that we need for financials is for us to have a basis to start as far as the budget goes. If you're in agreement, whatever you guys are in agreement with.
And that's coming later?
No, just whatever you guys just give us whatever you want us to go back and work on the budget with.
Oh, gotcha.
We won't really have a good answer for that until next meeting, correct? Because by then we should know what the vote was and, okay.
I mean, if you want us to start at a 4% increase across the board, we can do that. If the bonds pass, you want us to do the 7% or 6 point, whatever it is, or if you don't want to do that, then you just need to let us know where we can start the basis of the
Well, one of the things I'd just kind of like to throw out here is I think we hire people to help us with these things. And I think Jeff and his organization is here to say, hey, here's what we see and what we're seeing in other communities. So I respect his opinion and the direction he's feeling the community needs to go. So with that being said, I think we look at his numbers and go from there instead of us shooting from the hip and saying, well, this could happen or whatever. But I think we need to listen to what I'm going to call a professional.
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
That's just my opinion, which everybody's got one of those.
I'm in agreement with that also.
So we'll give you marching orders next meeting, or do you need them before that? Next meeting?
She does the budget, so.
Sharpen that pencil.
Right. All right, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, next, City Administrator Brandy Walters.
Good evening. The first thing that I have for you tonight is the tourism recommendations. So our Tourism Commission met on March 28th, and they would like to make the recommendation to approve a request for funds from the Tribute to Veterans Memorial in the amount of $4,436.81, and this is a budgeted item that they have every year.
Tourism's taking $4,436.81 and giving that to Tribute to the Veterans?
Yeah, and it pays it pays for their utilities, upkeep, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
For the thing there in front of Denny's?
Yeah.
Yeah, looks very nice too.
Yeah.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the tourism recommendations for funds for Tributes to Veterans Memorial in the amount of $4,436.81.
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Schultz and
Cullum.
Alderman Cullum, second. Roll call vote?
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Crump? Yes. Alderman Quarter?
Yes.
Alderman Cullum?
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering?
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
The next thing I have for you tonight is a bill to change code for our flex time, as we had talked about in our planning meeting earlier this year, is we were going to eliminate that flex time for salaried or exempt employees, and this bill is eliminating that from code.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 20-23.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Schultz, second by Alderman Jaspering.
An ordinance amending Chapter 125 of the Municipal Code of the City of Warrenton, Missouri by deleting Section 125.065 regarding flex time.
I entertain a motion for the second reading of bill number 20-23.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made by Alderman Quarter, second by Alderman Miller. Roll call vote.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
An ordinance amending Chapter 125 of the Municipal Code of the City of Warrenton, Missouri by deleting Section 125.065 regarding flex time. Now you go.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Crump.
Yes.
Alderman Quarter.
Yes.
Alderman Cullum.
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering.
Yes.
Alderman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Schultz.
Yes.
All right.
The next thing I have is the purchasing policy code change as well. Again, part of our planning meeting, we're going to change this purchasing policy to allow the city administrator to approve purchases up to $25,000. Anything above that, we bring to the board for board approval. And there is a bill for that as well, for that code change.
All right. I entertain a motion for first reading of bill number 21-23.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Cullum, second by Alderman Jaspering.
An ordinance amending Section 100.270 of the Municipal Code of the City of Warrenton, Missouri regarding purchasing policy.
I entertain a motion for reading of bill number 21 second reading for reading of bill number -21-23.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Quarter, second by Alderman Cullum.
An ordinance amending Section 100.270 of the Municipal Code of the City of Warrenton, Missouri regarding purchasing policy.
Roll call vote.
Alderman Quarter.
Yes.
Alderman Cullum.
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering.
Yes.
Alderman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Schultz.
Yes.
Alderman Crump.
Yes.
The next thing I have for you is Resolution 432, and this is due to our retirement plan. They currently are still showing Terry Thorne as a trustee on there, and this resolution is to change that to myself and terminate Terry off of that plan.
All right. I entertain a motion to have approve the reading of resolution number 342.
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Cullum made a motion and second by Alderman Quarter.
A resolution by the City of Warrenton, Missouri appointing a new trustee for the City of Warrenton, Missouri 457 plan with the standard.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Cullum.
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering.
Yes.
Alderman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Schultz.
Yes.
Alderman Crump.
Yes.
Alderman Quarter.
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
The last thing I have for tonight is April 13th. For those of you that had agreed to attend, Congressman Wayne Lukemeyer will be here in this building at 2 p.m.
You said flip-flops and Hawaiian shirts?
Flip-flops and Hawaiian shirts.
Flip-flops and Hawaiian shirts?
All right. Anything else, Brandy?
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Next up, Financial Officer Dana Belaski.
The first item on the agenda for you is a list of claims for your approval tonight, totaling $274,594.72. Are there any questions on that list?
Nope.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the accounts payable in the amount of $274,594.72.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Miller, second by Alderman Schultz. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Jaspering.
Yes.
Alderman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Schultz.
Yes.
Alderman Crump.
Yes.
Alderman Quarter.
Yes.
Alderman Cullum.
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
The next item are the February financials. Some highlights of the financials are general fund revenues are above budget $272,000. Of that, about $107,000 related to sales tax. So you see a slight jump this month of about 7%. We've been seeing closer to 3% throughout the year, and I will tell you, we've already seen the numbers for next month, and we're back to that 3% again. So sometimes there's a fluctuation on timing when entities report. General fund operating expenditures, about $312 below budget. And as we've seen all year, about $231,000 of that's related to vacancies, wage-related. Also, about $100,000 in the general funds related to fuel. So we budgeted rather high. At the time we were doing budgets, it was pretty much an unknown. So between vacancies and less miles on vehicles, and the rates not being quite as high as they could have been, there's about $100,000 in savings so far in fuel in the general fund.
Ready to go up.
Well, maybe I spoke too soon. Then in the water and sewer fund, revenues there were about $201,000 above budget. Some of that's a mixture of residential and commercial, water and sewer, which is about $70,000 of it. The industrial, $176,000 above budget with the new plant operators over there at Refresco. Then the connection fees, we're running a little below budget there on new connections. In the operating expenses, water and sewer fund, about $147,000 below budget, and again, related primarily to vacancy and wage-related items. Were there any questions on those February financials?
Yeah, Dan, I got one. On that street, the cost share reimbursement, did we get that back yet, or no? We're still waiting on that?
We did get it back.
Okay.
It's just that it happened this year as opposed to
Sure.
last year.
Any other questions? All right, let's hear from Aquatics Director Lisa Kramer.
Good evening. You have the aquatic report in front of you. Some highlights from it for March are we had 3,422 people through the doors last month. This is down about 85 people. I'm thinking it's from the daily admissions, less than we had last year. The good news is we sold 20 new memberships in March and renewed 18 memberships. Group and private swim lessons began last week. We have 17 people enrolled in private swim lessons and 51 in our group lessons. And during the month of February and March, we sent a lifeguard over to the Care Days program on Mondays to teach the 3rd and 4th graders about water safety around the pool and lakes, water parks, and backyard pools. And then this past Monday, on the 27th, all of those kids came to the pool and practiced their skills in the water so that they were able to do actual application of what they learned in the school. And there were 17 kids that came to the pool. There were 25 kids that participated in the program over at the school. And then lastly, this past Saturday was our extravaganza carnival. The weather was not very nice, and we couldn't have the carnival in the parking lot. We did have over 300 people signed up for the program. We ended up moving it into this building, and we had about half of those people show up for the program. So we were still able to do the carnival and have all the activities and get pictures with the Easter Bunny, although it was very windy outside.
Yes, it was.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
Good, thank you.
All right, thank you, Lisa. All right, Grounds and Maintenance Director, Justin Knoll.
Good evening. You have our monthly report, and we've been busy. Still a lot of time at the complex. I think TSM has about 720 kids signed up for soccer and baseball starting here pretty quick, and we've been spending a lot of time in preparation for that and getting the other parks ready and ready for good weather.
Justin, did you say 700?
Yeah, she said it's one of their biggest years yet.
Wow.
So do we have the mowers gassed up and greased up and ready to go?
Yeah, they've been mowing grass out there for
All
2
right.
weeks. And, yeah, they're ready to go.
How are we doing on the signs for those fields? Are we putting those up or soon? Yes, no, maybe so. The field signs?
Talk about the sponsorship signs.
Yeah.
Soccer fields?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard on if we.
I heard she sold one so far. I don't know any more than that.
Right, I didn't
So
know if we were at any plan on putting them up at all or
Yeah,
anything.
she's working on it. So I know they're gonna. I think they're gonna be up before games start because she's either gonna sell the sponsorships or put a City of Warrenton TSM
Right,
kind of
something on there, yeah.
sign on there. So it's still in the plan.
Justin, did you guys get a chance to fill, what's it, the U10, U12 field there? Down the middle there, there's some low spots that hold water.
About 2 weeks ago, we did spend a little time getting some dirt across some of the holes that we were able to fill. I know there's still a couple from this last week, and we noticed there's some longer stretches of water standing on some of the smaller patches across the middle.
Yeah, that U12 field, yeah. That
Right.
was pretty much what killed last week.
Well, the weekend, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the 25 mile an hour
Yeah,
wind that they
winds,
had. But yeah, we're going to continue to work on getting the holes patched through the season. Again, following the season, we'll try to follow it up with getting some.
They don't even put that mulch in there anymore.
Right, so we blended that first time. It was a little test we did with some compost and different things, and it really didn't pan out. A couple days later, we blended that with the topsoil. That had a lot better result and be able to filter that into the grass and stuff pretty good. I think once the grass comes up, a lot of that little mulch debris and stuff should break down pretty good.
Thank you. Any other questions for Justin? No. All right, thank you, Justin. All right, next up, Public Works Director, Guy Ebers.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. You got my monthly report. A few highlights. We had a sewer service repair on McKinley, a water service repair on Columbus Circle and Thurman Street. We did receive our new flusher combination truck, and we received that and did training on that. We had 109 locates. We had 5 sewer calls, 2 were on private and 2 were on city, and 1 was a sewer repair. Any questions? Next item I have for approval is the sheet metal replacement bid. I'm recommending to accept the low bid from CV Construction from Washington, Missouri for the amount of $112,400. Budget amount was $125,433. The original budget was to include garage doors and heat, but with the cost of everything, we're going to put that on next year's budget. So we're going to get the sheet metal up, insulated, and then budget for next year the garage doors and the heat. So I need approval for that. And it's down off the Highway U, the maintenance shed.
So we're just redoing it?
Yeah, we're just reskinning it. There might be some 2x4s or something that maybe
Right.
need to be. There's still $13,000 remaining in the budget for any outside foreseen.
Is that just for storage or?
That's where we park all our equipment.
Okay.
Dump trucks, pickups.
So the guys won't be working on equipment in there or?
Well, so our snow plows during the summer, excuse me, go against the wall. And then when we go to pull them in during the winter, that building's not not heated. So for the best thing for a truck during the winter, to let them thaw out, and if we need to do something to them, we have the other bays, but they get full too with the heat. So it actually gives us the opportunity, and then we don't have to move equipment around and cram it in one bay because they're all winter related. We can park the asphalt roller in there or one of the jetter trucks that's on a trailer inside and don't have to worry about them freezing up in the winter.
I just want to make sure those guys aren't working in the winter, on something.
Yeah, we
Cold room someplace working on something. So.
No, we got 3 bays that are heated right now. We just want to be able to keep the winter off the rest of the equipment.
Okay.
Very good, thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the Public Works Building sheet metal replacement bid to Stevie in the amount of $112,400, the low bid.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Schultz, second by Alderman Quarter. Roll call vote.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Crum?
Yes.
Alderman Quarter?
Yes.
Alderman Cullum?
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering?
Yes.
Passes 6-0. That is it. I'll entertain a motion to close out
Regular
the Board of Alderman meetings.
So moved.
Alderman Quarter. Motion by Alderman Quarter, second by Alderman
So moved. Is there a second?
Schultz. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?